Okay, next question. Mark says, now the season is half over, or at least we're at the halfway point. Most impressive driver so far. Yeah, this is a hard one. Look, I think most of the time for the last few seasons, you would have to say Max, but I actually don't think Max has been the most impressive driver this season. It's definitely not been Norris. He's made too many mistakes. He's been quick, but made too many mistakes. Piastri, I have to say, would be up there. I don't think he's been the most impressive driver. However, I would probably put Piastri down as most impressive improvement over the offseason. I think that's a fair statement to make, but not most impressive. Leclerc has been impressive at points, but not overall. So I'm going to say something which is going to annoy, I think, most people, in that I think Russell has been the most impressive driver this season. He hasn't won multiple races, but he won a race in Canada. And basically, his consistency has been better than everyone else on the grid. Essentially, every single time there's even a sniff of a podium, a win, anything, he has been there. And even when the car is bad, he is still maximizing it everywhere. His qualifying's been impressive. His racecraft has been impressive. He's been making the fewest mistakes. And Max himself has made some mistakes and thrown away points where he probably shouldn't have. Look, he's human at the end of the day. And while I would say that Max's peaks of where he's been able to pull that car have been higher, his consistency hasn't been as good as George, in my opinion. So if we were talking about, like, you know, the best one-off performances here and there, Max by far. But yeah, George has just been consistently brilliant. I would say he's been the best of the season so far, which is why it would have been really unfair for him to lose his seat for next year if we're basing it on his performance at the moment. But yeah, like, for example, Max should have won in Jeddah, threw that away at the first corner, in my opinion. And, you know, Canada, I guess the Mercedes was just faster, but second fastest car there. He still, you know, he didn't bring it home against Russell. Russell was more impressive there. You know, whereas Max's peaks, like Imola, for example, been very, very impressive. Suzuka, very, very impressive. But yeah, George has just been the most consistent, most impressive driver. And I would say has been closest to maximizing their package over the entirety of the season so far. I think it's George. And I would say it would be hard to argue for anyone else being the most impressive driver. Like I said, Max has had some impressive peaks, and I think for the first 7 races, it was really impressive what he was doing. But during those 7 races, he still threw away some points. You know, he threw away a lot of points in Spain, for example, by just getting really irritated with the car. It was just unnecessary. And I don't think he maximized what he could have got in Hungary, but I mean, look, that's a lot to do with the car, the track, all those things. So let's not put too much blame on him here. But the simple way I would say it is, if you're looking at it, you know, to find the most impressive driver, you've got to look at impressive peaks, but then you've got to look at which is the driver who has left the least amount on the table. And I think in terms of leaving the least amount on the table this year, it's been Russell, I think, by a substantial amount. And I can't think of anyone else, to be honest, who's come close to it. So that would be my argument. Let me know what you guys think. I'm sure there'll be a lot of Verstappen fans, especially, who won't like that answer, but that's just one man's opinion.